All right, let's talk about a subject that is literally all around us. It's in the air we breathe, it's in the phone you're holding, and yeah, it is definitely in the food sizzling away on your grill. We are diving into chemistry, which is pretty much the science of, well, everything. So let's fire things up.
So, quick question for you. Do you think of yourself as a chemist? My guess is probably not. You're probably picturing someone in a lab coat with beakers and super complex equations, right? But what if I told you that you've been doing chemistry for years and you probably didn't even know it?
Because, yeah, if you've ever cooked a hamburger, you are absolutely 100% a chemist. Think about it. You're taking matter, the raw meat, the spices, and you're applying heat. And what happens? You create an entirely new substance through a chemical reaction. That incredible smell? That's chemistry. The patty turning from red to brown? That's the Maillard reaction. It's pure chemistry in action.
And really, that's what it all boils down to. When you strip everything else away, chemistry is simply the science of stuff. It's all about answering two basic questions. What is this thing made of, and what happens if I mess with it?
And that word, matter, is just the fancy scientific term for, well, everything. The air, your desk, you, me, it's all matter. Which means, and this is the cool part, chemistry isn't just some niche subject about labs, it's the study of the entire universe. So if it's really the study of everything, let's put that to the test. Just how much of our everyday life is actually being run by chemistry? Well, we already talked about cooking, right? But think about cleaning. That's just chemists designing these tiny molecules that can literally grab onto grease and dirt and wash them away. Or medicine. That's all about understanding the complex chemical reactions inside your body so we can create drugs to help it run better. Even huge global issues like understanding and fighting pollution. That's a massive chemical challenge. It is truly everywhere you look.
Now, because chemistry is so incredibly huge, scientists have to break it down into different branches. You can think of it just like medicine, right? A heart surgeon and a brain surgeon both study the human body. They just focus on totally different systems.
So you've got these 5 main branches, and each one is looking at matter from a slightly different angle. You have organic, which is basically the chemistry of life. Inorganic, which is more about things like rocks and metals. Biochemistry, which zooms way in on the reactions happening inside of us. Physical chemistry, which gets into the physics and energy of it all. And nuclear chemistry, which studies the very core of the atom. For now, though, let's just focus on the 2 biggest players.
And that would be organic versus inorganic chemistry. And the difference between them is actually super simple, but it divides almost all of chemistry right down the middle. Organic chemistry is the study of one element, carbon. That's the atom that forms the backbone of all life as we know it. And inorganic chemistry, well, that's pretty much the study of everything else, from salts and minerals to metals and gases.
Okay, so that's the what of chemistry. But what about the how? I mean, how do scientists actually go from asking a simple question to making a discovery that can change the world? Well, let's open up their toolkit and take a look. First thing to get straight is the difference between inquiry and the method. Scientific inquiry is the big picture. It's like being a detective exploring a huge, complex crime scene. You're creative, you follow clues, you're open to anything. The scientific method, on the other hand, is much more specific. It's the step-by-step procedure you use to test one single piece of evidence, like analyzing a fingerprint. It's a recipe to answer one focused question. Now, when scientists are gathering their evidence, they make 2 main types of observations. Qualitative observations are descriptions. What color is it? What does it smell like? What shape is it? But the real powerhouse of science is quantitative observation. This is an actual measurement. It's not just it's long. It is 6 inches long. That number, plus the unit, is what makes science so precise and repeatable. And another crucial tool is the model. You know, sometimes the things chemists study are just too small or too big or way too complicated to look at directly. So what do? They build models. That could be something as simple as using marshmallows and gumdrops to build a molecule, or as complex as using a supercomputer to run a 3D simulation of a reaction. It's all about finding a way to represent a situation so you can actually understand it. All right, now let's zoom in on what is maybe the single most important process in all of science. It is the ultimate recipe for discovery. It's time to break down the scientific method.
Okay, so it always starts with a question. Then you do your homework. You see what other people have already figured out. Based on that research, you form a hypothesis, which is just a testable guess.
Then comes the fun part. You experiment. You collect your data, you analyze it, and you draw a conclusion. Was your guess right or wrong? And this is key. You share your results. Now, what if you were wrong? In science, that is not a failure. That's actually a discovery. It just tells you what doesn't work, so you go back, you come up with a new hypothesis, and you try all over again.
And this is so important to get. Science is not a straight line to the truth. It's more like trying to climb a huge mountain in a thick fog. You try one path, you hit a dead end, so you have to backtrack, you try another path. Knowledge is built one messy, difficult step at a time. So after all that work, all that looping back and retesting, what's the end game? Well, all of this hard work is done to build the two highest achievements in science, theories and laws. But they're also two of the most misunderstood words in science. First up, a theory. Now, in everyday language, we say things like, "Oh, I have a theory about that." We mean it's just a hunch, a guess. But in science, a theory is a heavyweight champion. It is a powerful, comprehensive explanation for why something happens, and it's built on a mountain of evidence and proven facts. It is the best explanation we've got. And then you have a law. A scientific law is different. It doesn't try to explain why something happens. It simply describes what happens. It's a rule about a pattern in nature that has been observed over and over and over again without exception. Take, for example, the law of conservation of mass, which was figured out way back in 1774. It just states that when a chemical reaction happens, matter isn't created or destroyed. It just gets rearranged into new stuff. This has been seen in countless experiments. It perfectly describes what happens every time. So here it is. This is maybe the biggest takeaway of this whole explainer. A law describes what happens. A theory explains why it happens. A theory does not graduate to become a law. They are two totally different things, but they are both incredibly powerful tools for understanding our world. Which brings us to a final thought for you to chew on. One describes a pattern. The other provides the reason for that pattern. So which one do you think is more powerful? The what or the why? Thanks for tuning in.